Quaid Azam, Part 16. India and Islam. Number 1. India and Islam. India, Islam, nationhood. Our inquiry into the road traversed by Muhammad Ali Jinnah from being an ambassador of Hindu-Muslim unity to the Quaid Azam of Pakistan begins here. If an assertion of that highly questionable thesis that Muslims are a separate nation led to the creation of Pakistan, then why did an integral part of that very Muslim nation reject the notion in its entirety and separate, yet again, in violence, indescribable human suffering and death? Why didn't Bangladesh opt out? This we need to reflect upon in some detail. But before that, Islam's journey in India, why did that which grew in India opt for the smallness of the separation from it? It makes a fascinating tapestry, this experience of Islam in India, from invasion to accommodation, resulting in a kind of integrated assimilation, where after fretting against that very oneness, to then reject India, seek a separate Islamic nation, and finally, through a surgical operation, hurriedly settle for a moth-eaten Pakistan. How is it that the Indian subcontinent of an undivided India, home to more Muslims than, for example, entire Middle East, did not become the global standard bearer of this noble faith, choosing instead to be corrupt? Was that because Islam was always a foreign intrusion here, living as if not entirely at home, therefore it must depart someday, for that is what partition is? Or is it that during the course of almost a millennia and a half, Islamic traditions and Muslims became entirely indigenous of and from this very soil, an undeniable part of the multi-layered cultural sediments of Indian subcontinent? And if that be correct, then why and how did Muhammad Ali Jinnah assert, and more significantly, why did we, Jawaharlal Nehru, Vallabhbhai Patel, that entire generation of Congress leaders, accept this fallacious notion that Muslims, and why in India alone, are a separate nation, and permit our nation to be vivisected? That also is our inquiry. It is, of course, self-evident that Islam is not just, as Christianity or Zoroastrianism, are not indigenous to India, for born elsewhere, Islam came to India wielding the evangelizing sword of the invaders. In consequence, it arrived as an outsider, and at least initially remained just that, an alien faith. But India is a cultural ocean, rivers of many faiths empty here. In that same vein, Islam too is a part of those cultural layers. absorbed by what exists, mixing then with the rest to become an inseparable part of the marvel that is India. The problem lies still thus in attempting to separate, to keep distinctly apart this one particular strata from India's foundational layer. That foundation is Vedic.